And I'm live. Hello, and welcome to this week's Marketing Thursday. Gosh, it's Thursday already. All right, I'm not doing Marketing Monday next week because I will not have internet next week. So we are doing this now. So today's topic is how a website heat map can improve your ability to attract, engage, and convert leads online. What is a website heat map? So I'll get into it. So essentially, it's not only traffic to your website, and it's not even specifically where traffic is going on your website. It does track that, but it's really tracking as much engagement on your website as it possibly can, right? So obviously we can't track where people's eyeballs are moving. I'm sure someday we'll get there. They haven't gotten there yet, but what they can track is how far down a page people are scrolling. They can track which pages people are clicking to from where. They can track cursor movement. So if someone, for example, is filling out a form, it will show, oh, hey, there's a lot of activity around here where people are filling out the form. That's good. That means people are doing what they're supposed to be doing on that page. If they never find their way to that page, that's a problem. That could be your CTA is not engaging enough. CTA stands for call to action, right? That's the action you want them to take with each piece of content. Eventually, you should always be leading people to click the buy button, fill out the form, reach out for a consultation, whatever that final call to action is that gets you to give you their credit card information so you can be in business and have a successful business and give them the product or services that they are looking for. That's the end result. If they're not getting there, a heat map can show you exactly where the hiccups are, exactly where on your website the problem spots are so that you can fix them. It's super useful. So I always think of this. So, again, why should you care? Like I said, if you have, let's say for a blog as an example, right? So I always recommend putting a call to action at the bottom of your blog post. Great. What if people never get there? What if people are scrolling and they're reading, or they jump to your blog, they have a specific question, they don't want to read the whole thing, they just want to read this one specific part. They read that part, they get the answer to the question, there's no call to action that they see, so they click away and go about their day, and you never hear from them again. You have two options. First, make it more engaging so that they keep reading, but it's not a bad thing if people are skimming, right? Because that's what people do. It's lots of content. Yes, there's value in longer blog posts, longer content, but at the same time, and yes, people do spend more time on average engaging with longer content, but not always. And you can see this if you've ever searched for something on Google and you find that Google directs you not to a whole blog post, but to one specific part of a blog post. I see this all the time where suddenly I'm being led to the middle of an article because Google says you have this specific question. We don't want to just direct you to the whole article and make you dig for it. We're going to show you here, this right here is exactly what answers your question. Super useful. But so for me, right, for the person who put all that time and effort into creating that content and answering my question, if they don't have a call to action right there, I'm never going to see it because I'm going to click through, get what I need, get out, get on with my day. So you have two options. You can put your call to action in those places in your blog, or you can make your content more engaging. Try and get people to keep reading so they get to that call to action at the end. But I said, or that was kind of a trick question. It's not an either or situation. You don't have to include your call to action somewhere else or make it more engaging so they reach the end where the call to action is. You can still and should still have your call to action at the very end, because if they did read all the way to the end, that's a really high value lead. That is someone who is much more likely to take that call to action. So have it there. Have that call to action at the end. Say, hey, this, if it makes sense for you to do this or that or the other thing, and you should know that what that next step is, then absolutely have that there at the end, but also have it in the middle of your post. And especially if you notice most people are looking at a specific section, maybe you have some traffic up here and some traffic down there, but a lot of people are really coming to this one specific section and spending a lot of time there and then clicking away. That's a really high value section. You want to optimize that section. And you might never know that that section is super valuable and super useful and should be optimized if you don't have a heat map, because the heat map will show you, look, this is where people are spending all the time. And I say heat map because when you see it visually, it literally looks like a weather map, right? The places where people are spending the most amount of time are going to be red and orange and yellow. And the farther you get from those areas than the areas where people are not, where people are ignoring, those areas are, dark purple or black even. It's totally grayed out in some cases, depending on the tool you end up using. So first and foremost, make sure you get your heat map. There is an article, and I'll put a link to this in the notes. There's another article I found that listed out 6 different heat map tools and their pros and cons, their different prices, some of which are free. They have free options. So if you're not ready to invest in this yet, then absolutely make sure that maybe you do try out a free tool for a bit before investing in something. Or maybe you only need the free option. Maybe you don't have, you don't need all the bells and whistles. You just need the basics. Totally up to you. That's what that article is there for. What do I do with my heat maps? So there's this old saying that you've probably heard, that the best tool is the one you use, right? And we've all had this where we see the product video and it looks so cool and we go, oh, I would love that. So for example, I am guilty of this myself, and I blame my mom for this because she would buy all kinds of kitchen equipment, and she did spend a lot of time in the kitchen. It's not like she was one of those people who would buy stuff and think she would use it and then never actually make any food. She made a lot of food, but she tended to stick to the tools that she knew best. So she would buy the new fancy tools thinking, oh, I could do this, that, and the other with it. And then she would never actually use it. And we all give her a hard time for it. But after she died, I took some of those tools home, and some of them I have used, and some of them almost 6 years later now are still sitting in my kitchen gathering dust, never having been used. So we've all done this, right? We all look at something and go, oh, that would be a really cool thing of all the cool things I can do with this. And we buy it and we never use it. It sits in our closet on top of our fridge, on our hard drive, right? Gathering dust, or if it's on our hard drive, it's gathering digital dust, right? Because we're just not using it. So first and foremost, the best heat map tool is going to be the one that you actually use. Sometimes that means making sure that you have one that sends you reports. I have a bunch of different tools that I didn't even realize until I registered, and they start sending me reports every week, every month. Totally depends on the tool, right? So if you are someone where you're not going to actively go and check on the tool and see what's going on, then get a tool that sends you reports and have that set up in your settings to make sure that you're going to get those reports. That's going to be so much. And then make sure it doesn't go straight to your spam folder. Make sure we're at whatever email address that's coming from, make sure that is included in your contacts list so you actually see those emails coming through and those reports coming through. If you don't get those email updates, maybe put it in your calendar once a week, once a month, at minimum once a quarter. I would say make sure that you are, put it in your calendar. This is on my to-do list. This is something I have to do today, this week, whatever. Go over to this tool, check it out, see what's going on. Use your tool. And that's it. So if you need help, please reach out. This is something that I help with. If you've got all the information and your eyes are crossed because it doesn't mean anything to you, I can help with that. I can help you identify, okay, this is what the heat map is saying. This is the part that's really engaging. This is what people are doing. This is where they're getting lost. Navigation is another one. Sometimes you put something up and you go, oh, it's super easy, right? It's right there at the bottom of the page in tiny type. Of course, people can find their way to it. You know where it is because you put it there, or you worked with a web designer to put it there. So you know how to find it, but not everyone else visiting your website knows how to find it, right? Because they don't have that information. It might not be as intuitive as you assume it is. So the heat map can show you those things. And if you have any trouble analyzing that information, figuring out or you know what it means, but okay, now what do I do? How do I fix it? That is also something that I can help with. So please reach out if you have any other questions. I would love to chat with you about this. You can find me more information like this over at my website, AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com. You can reach me directly by sending me an email at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.